Okay, class, so today we're going to talk about transversals and parallel lines and all the cool angles that we get. So just as a quick reminder, remember parallel lines don't intersect. So in a diagram, I will put the double arrows, and angles are congruent. Congruent is just another word for equal. And then we have a new word, transversal, which is simply a line that crosses two or more lines. So transversal. And so when a transversal crosses two lines, I have 8 different angles, and as you can see, I could actually number them so that we could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 8 different corners. And the ones that are outside the lines, the 2 lines, those will all be referred to as exterior. And so exterior would be here and here. They're outside the lines. And then the ones that are inside the lines we will refer to as interior. So when we have parallel lines and a transversal, so I'm going to mark these so that you see that they're parallel, then we get some different types of special angles, and the first one is called corresponding. And so corresponding simply means they're in the same location. So that's important, same location. So if I look at 1 and 5 and I talk about their location, they're both top left. And then if I look at 2 and 6, they're both top right. So they are corresponding because they're in the same location. And then if I look at 8 and 4, they're corresponding because they're both in the bottom left. And then last but not least, if I look at 3 and 7, they're corresponding because they're both in the bottom right. So corresponding means they're in the same location. Okay, so now I want you in this diagram to draw 2 pairs of corresponding angles, and if you notice, you actually have some colors down here that you can use, you have access to for this screen, and you can also hide the directions so that you'll be able to see the rest of the diagram. So go ahead and draw 2 pairs of corresponding angles. Again, make sure that you use the same color for each pair, and so do one pair in one color and the other pair in a different color. So you'll notice that 2 and 6 are in purple, they're corresponding. 3 and 7 are in green, they're corresponding. 1 and 5 are in pink, they are corresponding, again, both same location, top left. And 4 and 8 are in red, they're in the same location, bottom left. They are corresponding. So another fancy pair of angles are called alternate exterior. So now remember, exterior meant it was outside the lines. So if you notice here in the diagram, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 are my exterior angles. Now alternate simply means they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So opposite sides of the transversal, and then have to be exterior. That's why exterior is in the name. So alternate, opposite. So if I notice, when I look at my transversal, definitely, so I'm tracing over my transversal here. So definitely 1 and 4 are on opposite sides. One's on the left, one's on the right. And then same thing for 2 and 3. One's on the left, one's on the right. So 2 and 3 are alternate exterior, so they're opposite sides but outside. And 1 and 4 are alternate exterior. So now it's your turn, and you're to put your answer in the box. I want you to name 2 pairs of alternate exterior angles. Okay, so hopefully you listed 1 and 7. And 2 and 8. So now I want to talk about alternate interior. So now remember that interior means that they have to be inside the parallel lines. So that's everything that's in here. And then alternate still means that they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So now, when I look at opposite sides of the transversal, I'm looking at 1 and 4, and also 2 and 3. Remember, all inside angles, but then I want to make sure that they're opposites. So again, this is another your turn reminder that your tools for labeling are down here in the bottom left. And you can also remove the directions by clicking on the blue arrow. So go ahead and find or draw in 2 pairs of alternate angles. So hopefully you labeled 3 and 5, as well as 4 and 6. And a 4th pair of special angles are known as consecutive interior. So now remember, still have to be inside the parallel lines, so there's only 4 angles in here that would be optional. But consecutive means they're on the same side. So while alternate was opposite sides, consecutive is the same side of the transversal. So now we're looking at either this pair or this pair over here. So again, I want you to label 2 pairs of consecutive interior angles. So hopefully you listed or color-coded 3 and 6 because they are consecutive interior, as well as 4 and 5 are consecutive interior. Now, these angles are not special to parallel lines and transversals. We've looked at linear pair before, so remember, linear pair just means that together they form a straight line. So when I put this angle here next to the one on the left, so this angle over here, together they add up to 180 degrees. So on this diagram, I want you to find me 2 linear pair. And again, make sure you color code them. So there are endless possibilities. I could say 2 and 3, or I could say 3 and 4, or I could say 4 and 1, or I could say 1 and 2. And then I can repeat that at the bottom. So I could say 5 and 6, or I could say 6 and 7, or 7 and 8, or 8 and 5. So lots of options on this one. And again, another quick reminder, this is not a new term, about vertical angles. Vertical angles, I have to have lines that are intersecting, and where they intersect will always give me two pair of vertical angles. And a reminder that vertical angles are congruent, and so you can see we have two pair here in the diagram. And again, not a new term, adjacent angles simply share a ray between them. Adjacent simply means next to. Quick way to think about it. So take a moment, you're going to drag the answers from the bottom up into the boxes. So these down here will drag. So go ahead and drag them in and then submit with done. So check your answers, see if you completed the sentences correctly. So now notice if I tap on here, it's going to allow me to first of all write my name, and then I can make a comment, and this is exactly what you should do, is make a new post-it for yourself and then tell me what you learned. So that concludes our lesson. If you need more help, I suggest you go back and re-watch the video one more time.